Hello.
Hi, hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm sharing us to another page.
Wonderful. The more the better that we spread the word
Mm-hmm.
about our favorite plant, right?
Absolutely. How are you?
I am great, thanks. Doing
Good.
well. Super
Yeah.
excited about tonight's session.
Yeah,
Uh,
me too. I was thinking about like why haven't we done this before? It seems like such a obvious one, but it's a fun one. So I'm glad we're doing
exactly,
it.
for sure. Yeah. So tonight, just in case we have anyone jumping on that is not familiar with who we are and what we'll be discussing tonight, we'll just do a really quick little brief intro, and then we'll get started to get into the nitty gritty of smoking, which is combustion versus vaporization. So that's what we're going to discuss tonight. So yeah.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
everyone, my name is Heather. I am the founder and co-owner of Hempfield Botanicals and soon to be Hempfield Apothecary in downtown Lancaster. We have some exciting things coming up for that, so stay tuned for that. A little bit about myself, really quickly. I am a registered nurse in the state of Pennsylvania. I am also a licensed esthetician. I am a medical marijuana card holder in the state of Pennsylvania. And I am a huge advocate of cannabis and getting it into the hands of those who need it. So yeah, it's so exciting to talk about our favorite plant together, one of our favorite plants together. So without further ado, Amanda, if you want to just give a little intro and then we can get started.
Sure. So my name is Amanda Hughes. I am also a licensed esthetician. I teach cosmetic chemistry. I am a spa owner. I have a mosquito in my house.
Oh
Sorry. It's still, I mean, it was like almost 80 today. So
no!
I'm in
Oh,
Texas. I'm in Texas, which makes me
yes,
also an activist
yes.
because there's a lot of work here. I'm also an herbalist and a cannabis educator. So those healing medicinal plants, that's what we're here to talk about. Cannabis helped me as a patient to heal my body and continues to do so. And when I began to learn more about this plant, I kind of was on fire to help other people understand how it works in their body and to help get it legalized and in the hands of the patients who need it, just like we have access to other healing plants that aren't illegal.
Yeah, I'm
So,
right there with you. You know, that's exactly what happened to me once I found out the benefits of it and how it really changed my life for
right.
the better. I just became my passion in life
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
people to heal
It's,
themselves from
it,
within.
yeah. I mean, it's disgraceful. So,
Yeah.
but
But
I think that this is such a great topic because we could talk about all the different methods of administrating, but we'd have to do that in several different episodes, I think. So to discuss the different ways to inhale, I think is let's break it down. And we both brought props.
yay,
Yay!
we have
So
toys.
I know. So one thing that I think is not common knowledge is there's a lot of studies to show that cannabis smokers do not seem to have higher lung cancer rates than those of non-cannabis smokers, and they even tend to have lower lung cancer rates for people that smoke both cigarettes and cannabis. So that sort of suggests, and of course we need more studies, but that
Mhm.
suggests that marijuana smoke may have anti-cancer properties.
Yeah.
So when we talk about cannabis, I like to remind people that I'm not just talking about marijuana. I could be talking about smokable hemp as well. And so I'll use the word cannabis to cover both. Certainly, some inhalation methods are a little healthier than others because of the toxins that you're absorbing or filtering out or not filtering out, and the temperature
Mhm.
with which you're inhaling it down your throat and into your lungs. So the first one we're going to talk about is vaporization because I think that that's the most misunderstood.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I do want basically a lot of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about vaporization, water pipes and bongs, dabs, pipes, blunts, joints. We're going to kind of go in that order, but essentially what they all come down to, besides things like accessibility and convenience and cost, and depending on what type of product you're going to inhale, it all comes down to sort of like the temperature that it creates when it's processed, when it's combusted, when it's heated up. So in the plant, you have THCA, which is the acid form, or CBDA, or whatever cannabinoid. And when you decarboxylate it or combust it or heat it, you're losing the acid molecule, and you're creating something that is a different molecule altogether. Not to say that there's not a place for THCA and raw forms of cannabis, there is, but to obtain the non-raw forms of the non-acid, you have to combust it. So the boiling point, or the point at which THCA becomes THC, is a little bit, there's some argument over that, because what we really want to know is which is the most efficient boiling point. In other words, a little bit of heat might decarb some of it, and a lot of heat might decarb too much, turn it into something else, or make it undesirable. So ideally, the most studies say between 315 and 390 degrees Fahrenheit. So however, between 200 and 400, you can still get some THC, but at what cost, right? What are you losing? What cannabinoids or compounds or terpenes, or what are you losing by heating it up too much, or not heating it up enough? It's like when we're going to do edibles next month, and it's like when you don't heat it up enough, you're not getting the full potential of your cannabinoids, but you're getting something. So one thing that I think is really important to discuss, and things that this is what makes me prefer vaporization, is that terpenes, what gives the plant the scent and the certain flavor and the sort of nuance effect. Yeah, you lose that when you heat it up too much or combust it too quickly, you lose that. So if also, like, if your concerns are things like economic concerns, not spending a lot of money on flour, on products, or oil, or whatever you're purchasing, or an efficiency, and this is a fun fact. So when you inhale the full capacity of your lungs, I'm not talking about cannabis, I'm just talking about
a deep inhale,
breathing. When you inhale, you can take in as much as 6 liters of air. That's a lot of air. But you really only absorb like 6 milliliters, which isn't much at all, of oxygen. So your maximum capacity of oxygen is around 6 milliliters per 6 liters of the air. So what if you can't take in 6 liters of air? Some people can't. You're getting even less oxygen, so you breathe faster. So it's like, we're not whales, right? So we can't absorb enough oxygen with that one deep breath. So we have to continue to breathe at a faster rate than whales. That's like an extreme, obvious, silly example. But the same is true for the absorption of cannabinoids in your lungs. There's really a maximum amount of cannabinoids that your lungs can absorb in a small amount of time. So in that one inhalation, your lungs can only absorb so much THC or so much CBD or whatever cannabinoid you're searching for. So often, those smaller inhales, frequent inhales, if you want to push them close together, will give you more desired results. Those results are better achieved and more efficient, and you'll possibly waste less product, and you can maintain your tolerance. Instead of taking this big giant, off of whatever, a bong or something that gives you a ton of smoke, you're probably getting more smoke in your lungs than you would a smaller inhalation. But what if you don't quite need that much and you've wasted your product? So you might just take smaller inhalations. Just know that your lungs can only absorb so much cannabinoids, and taking bigger inhales is not necessarily going to give you that. So that being said, First thing that we had on our list was talking about vaporized cannabis. Some of them offer really small ways to inhale small doses, small inhales, and some offer like the big giant, the volcano. That one gives you could inhale most of that. I think we have a photo. Yeah. Or you could inhale it in small doses. So when you vaporize, it's a much lower temperature than smoking. It's you can vaporize dry flower, hash oil. There's lots of cannabis mixtures that you could vaporize. And what it does is it heats that material to a temperature just enough to release the cannabinoids and the terpenes and other therapeutic compounds, to release just enough without losing them, because if it's too hot, you could lose them, especially those terpenes, because they're so volatile. So you lose by overheating, you lose the terpenes. Can you find it? Like, I can't even see it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to this image, but I will actually.
That's okay. That's okay. It doesn't have to be that one. Just
there it is. I found it. We're good. Sorry about that, everyone.
That's okay. So vaporizing is a lower temperature, so it's not going to be as likely to burn your throat, which means you might not cough, which means you're going to get lower temperature, means you're going to get more of those terpenes and have a better flavor. So when you
now.
Awesome. So there's the volcano. So the little bag in the back that the girl is holding is full of the vapor. So I say girl, I said that because I've read the article.
Oh, there you go.
so I was like, why did I think that gender fit? But so I really love to taste the terpenes and experience sort of those nuances of the different terpenes and what the different ways that they make me feel and taste and smell. And I like to try to keep my tolerance low, because that's just a smart way to do it. You're consuming and purchasing less product. So I prefer vaporizers, but I prefer smaller vaporizers that vaporize flower. Often, people think of vaporizing frequently when they're talking about vape pens and cartridges. Yeah, exactly.
And this is a cartridge. So this is a vape cartridge. Compared to what Amanda is talking about, and I think you have some too.
I have a couple.
My vaporizer, but it is for dry flower. So it's a dry herb vaporizer. It has a little glass tube. I can explain that later, but that's what Amanda's talking about now. So
no, go ahead. You can go ahead.
I mean, like you said, vaporization, it gets a bad rap. There for a while, you can't lump everything together, right? So there was, this big thing about, oh, well, these cartridges and vaping is causing all this wet lung issue and blah, 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 blah. Still think that was part of COVID before it hit. Yep.
Maybe. I also think that might have been related to tobacco, big tobacco. So if big tobacco can't sell enough cigarettes because the e-cigs and the vapes, the vaporization first, then so this one that I have, you can use it for oil or flower, and it's great. I love this one. I've had it forever. It's a PAX. But I love this little guy. So I can't take the thing off because I have lotion on my hands. But the flower goes, can you see?
Yep.
I'm so bad at like reverse angles.
Yeah, right there.
So there's flower in there. And then I can actually, with this one, I can select the temperature, which is nice, right?
Yeah.
So on here, there's controls, so I can select the temperature, and then as soon as I inhale, I can shut it off, so it's not going to continue to burn. Yes. I like it because it gives small amounts of inhalation. And I have another works similarly. This one, it's like a little box. I think it's called a magic box or something.
Okay.
So the flower goes in here, right? And then you put this across, okay. And then you have this battery that's rechargeable, and I think I have like 4 of them. And when I push this in there, it heats up.
That's awesome.
And there's actually, you can actually put a little straw right there. God knows where that straw is now. I don't know, because you don't have to use the straw. I like this one, but this one's rechargeable in
Yes.
itself, like I just charge it. And this other one, I have to remember to charge the batteries. So truly, I like this one better.
This is my favorite, and I'll tell you why. So this is I got this one on 420 EDC, and it is an airizer. And it is one of my actual favorite devices for the reason because it has a removable rechargeable battery, just like yours. There's not many like this. So I am super eco-friendly person. So
Yeah.
I want to try to keep out as much in the landfill that I can. So the reason I chose this device is because a lot of them, they're rechargeable, but once your batteries are shot, you have to throw the whole device away. So I love this one because
That's dumb.
yeah, it's rechargeable and the battery's removable. So
yeah. Well. Yeah.
And this one is also temperature controlled. It's all digital, has a digital readout. You can set it for sessions length. If you want to use it for a certain amount of time, and then you can turn it back on later and reuse it, take those small inhalations. I am obsessed with this. I recommend this to everyone looking for a dry herb vaporizer. So definitely
nice. And how
you pack it? Yeah. So this is actually, there's a little let me just see here, right there. There's a little hole right in here. This glass tube is actually the tube that gets filled up to this little section here. And the glass tube goes right in, and you just inhale through there.
Nice.
Holes, and you just have to clean it like you would like any other.
It looks really easy to clean.
It's super easy to clean. I just dunk it in alcohol, and I'm done.
Yeah. So I tell people, like, I know that's a little bit of an investment if you're used to cheaper methods like rolling papers, right? But I love that I'm getting those terpenes. It's almost like, it's like the nuances of the terpenes are so present and so obvious, and it doesn't it enhances the experience tremendously, and you really are getting the nuance effects of the terpenes instead of burning them off, which is what you typically do when you're just lighting something on fire with a lighter. Combusting, exactly.
Honestly, when I use a dry herb vaporizer, I would never go back to using a bowl, or every once in a while I will, but once you try a dry herb vaporizer, and it's like your palate becomes almost like with wines and foods. It's more refined, and you can pick out those delicious terpenes. Honestly, if you haven't a chance, viewers, to try a dry herb vaporizer, you have to do it. It's amazing.
Yeah, you'll love it. I have, so I'm going to move on so we get them all in, but I did bring a couple of other things that aren't vaporizers, but one of them is really a close favorite to vaporizing, and I'll tell you why when we get there. But so the second category is water pipes and bongs. So you choose the bongs, and they have to have a sufficient water capacity to cool the smoke down before it enters your lungs. So that's the advantage to water bongs. They're cooling it off. So because that smoke is cooled by the water, also some of the products of combustion are removed into the water. So some of the tars and some of that's why bong water isn't pretty, and that's why you get the buildup inside your equipment. So that cooled smoke will create less irritation in the airway, but you have to keep them clean. That buildup of ash in there is horrible for you, and it really will create a far lesser experience. So generally, the cleaner it is and the more cold water that you can put in it, the greater the experience. You have really no temperature control with these though, right? It's just flame and hot and go. But I tell you, my favorite thing about them is they're beautiful. You can buy the most, we have a really pretty, I sent you that one called the,
let's show it to
the slide. I can't remember what it's called, the slide, but I was like, oh yeah, this is like the one of the extreme bongs. We got to show one. So there art. I mean, there's bongs I've seen that sell for $10,000, and when you go into a shop that sells them, you may be in there trying to buy this boring looking little vaporizer, but the bongs that's the art show. I mean, they're exquisite. The glasswork is just, it's just never ending designs.
Amanda, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm glad you can still hear me. For some reason, my screen just froze completely.
No, I can see, we can see you too.
Okay, I'm hoping I'm still on because my screen is totally like muted out.
No, we can see you and I can see you. So don't worry about sharing a photo. Everyone can Google expensive glass bongs and you see some beautiful pictures. So, and then one other one we were going to talk about we don't have a slide now, but that's okay, is dabs. So dabs, yeah, we can see you. So get it.
Okay.
So dabs,
go ahead. No, I was just going to say, go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay, so dabs, there's risks and benefits to that. So the benefit is it's a very, very pure form of cannabis. The plant matter is removed. The oil rigs are special pipes that are used just for this. And the dabs are a super, super concentrated form of cannabis. And the hits that you get off of these are incredibly intense. These are created for people with higher tolerances, or if you want to lower your tolerance, this is a real fast way to do it. So you can, they're also expensive. So the cost and the investment needs to be worth the gain for you. So there's equipment involved in, the dab rigs can cost $300 or more, plus you need some other little equipment. So if you need that because you have a higher tolerance, or perhaps you have an illness that requires large amounts of cannabinoids, then this one's for you.
Yep. And Amanda, I'll quickly show everyone here.
Yeah.
So this is my rig, my dab rig. Now it is dirty. I hardly ever use this. I will just tell everyone right now, I hardly ever use this. The only occasions that I typically would get this out, because I do have a lower tolerance, which is good for me, is when I have a massive headache that I cannot get rid of for days. I get to the point where I'm like done in and I can't handle it anymore. So I will use a dab for that. And again, it's just a couple different pieces. You have your rig, your quartz banger, all of that jazz. You would put your concentrate in this little section right in here, heat it, and underneath here, there's some of the, you can either use like a torch, or you can use their special equipment that will actually temperature controlled for you for that as well. And then you would inhale through this up here. There's, again, water down in here to just like Amanda said, to clean out not clean out, but basically
cool it off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
yep. So I'm going to go to a little more common methods, which would be pipes, blunts, joints, which obviously, if all you need is a rolling paper, that is absolutely the most convenient way. And, the one we tend to think of as the most traditional way, probably the way most of us first time we ever saw cannabis was in a joint. They're often the most, the least healthy, simply because of the heat, and there's no filter, but you can add filters to joints. You can add them to pipes. You can add them to blunts. You can add filters, which I do recommend.
Yes.
And then also I recommend, if you're using papers, to use organic papers, rice paper, hemp paper. Yes. You have no real temperature control with these, obviously, with a couple of exceptions. I have, and I love this little thing. Don't spill it, Amanda. So yeah, so this could be considered like a tiny bong if I put cannabis flower in here and then inhale through the other side, because it's filtered through the water, it cools off. But you can buy like the cones that are already pre-rolled, and then you fill them, and they have a built-in filter. So there's a filter. So this can actually go in here, and I've seen a few different styles like this. So now not only do I have the filter from my joint, but then I also have the water, and it's really nice. And plus, look how dang cute it is.
It is adorable.
And then I don't use this very often for a couple of reasons. One reason is because it's precious to me, and I just don't like getting it dirty, which is so dumb. It's like buying yourself something nice and then not using it because you don't want to ruin it, which is exactly what has happened here. I used it on Willie Nelson or Chris Christopherson's birthday because it's a little chillum that has Willie and Chris.
That's amazing.
And then Willie, Chris. And so I love this little guy. I also bought a pipe from this company, and I liked it, but it's so great because you just put your cannabis in here, and then you actually inhale from the bottom. So it's like, isn't it the sweetest thing ever?
Amazing.
And it does cool off quite a bit because there's such a great amount of air in here. So that's more of like a collector's piece. I prefer my vaporizer. And then I prefer this little guy. And then if I have to smoke just a joint, I need a filter. You can even buy like little glass filters, which are fantastic, like in our age of COVID too. Like if you had your own little glass filter and you could just pop it on a joint and then pass it to someone else, and then they pop on their little filter.
Amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So super important. I think takeaway here is clean your stuff. Everything needs to be really clean. Clean your glass. Make sure it stays clean. If it's have a backup, because if it's not clean and you want to use it, then have a backup plan so that your at least one's always clean. And if you haven't experienced vaporization, then absolutely try it, because it's like the difference between like a fine wine and a box wine. So nothing against people that like box wine, but to me a box red wine just tastes red, whereas a couple of different types of wine, red wine, I can taste the difference. So it's kind of like that. The vaporization gives you those subtleties of the terpenes.
I agree. And right now, I mean back in the day, but growing cannabis, the strains that they're coming out with and the different profiles, it's so fun to be able to get a new strain and try it and see. And I'm not kidding, there's so many out there, thousands and thousands and thousands of strains. But I'm not kidding, I feel like I've never had one that tasted the exact same.
Oh, so, yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Yeah. And there is nothing, I'm a huge proponent of vaporization, of dry flower, especially for that reason, because it's just it's delicious. And Amanda, too, just so viewers know too, vaporization through the lungs is one of the most effective ways to consume cannabis as well. I should say the quickest. Right? Yeah.
The most bioavailability of your terpenes. Of your cannabinoids.
Yeah. So that's another reason why I love drier vaporizers as well. So
I love that one that you have. Tell me what it's called so I can write it down.
Yeah, I'll actually share it in the comments for everyone down here, or down in the comments. But it is a Arizer, Arizer. And they have them in a couple different places, but I got mine from EDC 420edc.com, and they have this cute little kit that comes with it. It's almost like not a skunk bag, but it's like a little hard carrying case box that it comes in.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. This way has all kinds of tools. You get a spare battery with it, so you can always have a battery backup charged. I love it. And for the price, I've had this for now, oh my gosh, I don't know, 3 years maybe. And it's still going strong.
So. I've had mine, my little, what's it called? My little packs. I've had it for probably over 2 years, maybe 3 years.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Some fire engines going by. Yeah. So that was fantastic. Was there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I'd like to plug next month though, because
Yeah.
next month we're going to do something fun. We're going to talk about edibles and how to make your own edibles, but really what we're going to talk about is how to make the butter or the oil to put in your edibles, and then how to exchange those butters and oils for your recipes, your regular recipes that call for butter or oil. Also, maybe like we can talk about sugar, making cannabis sugar.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. We thought that would be fun since it's, kind of in the middle of holiday season and everybody likes to eat yummy stuff.
Bake.
And I have a great brownie recipe and we can share it. And
for sure. Yeah.
so I know that like cannabis brownies and edibles have been around since, long before we were around. But fortunately, we have science that has really improved the process. So I'm not saying that the way that you've done it for the last 30 years isn't good, but there might be better ways, because now we understand things like boiling points and terpenes and how to not lose your terpenes when you're making edibles and things like that.
Yeah,
so we're going to do that. We're going to do that next month.
Yeah, and you want to be able to use the whole plant, not just part of the plant.
Yeah.
So you want to get all those special benefits that you can get from the plant. So
right, and I think it's December 15th.
It is December 15th, so a month from now. So we will make sure that we remind everyone ahead of time, but we will definitely be back, and I'll bring some more props because it seems like everybody is commenting they love props. So I will bring some equipment that I have for decarbing, how I make my infused butters and oil. So I'll show you that as well. So yeah, it'll be exciting. We'll have lots of good, fun things to talk about.
Good. I'll do the same. I'll bring props too. I'm going to even like bring a brownie and eat it.
Ooh, that sounds lovely. Yeah, I'll do that too.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll see you in a month.
Sounds good, Amanda. Thank you so much. I really
thank you.
Your time. It was fun and entertaining and educational, all wrapped up in one. So
thank you.
See you soon.
Bye, everybody.